there's other things that are more profitable, like godliness, right? He goes, but godliness is profitable for all things, where bodily exercise just profits your body. Godliness profits everything. Yeah, that, and so, but again, that'd be in part 2 of this health seminar. But exercise, even God wanted us to know that it is profitable for us. It's beneficial to exercise. In fact, without exercise, we're in big trouble. Okay? I had a doctor that told me that every day we lay down, just lay in bed like in a hospital bed, we lose about 3% of our strength every day. So you can think if you're there for 10 days, you've lost 30% if you're there, and you can kind of add that up. It goes away quick. When you don't use it, you lose it, right? Promptly, yeah, and it doesn't take long. But to build it back takes long, right? I don't know. I think God was just being ornery to us there. It takes long to get it back, but to lose it doesn't take long at all. So, exercise. So, for good exercise, we need to have flexibility. You guys do stretching exercises? They're very good for us. I'm finding as I age, I need to do those more and more. In fact, I do these constantly during the day. That's one of the benefits of being a therapist, is that I can, while my patients are working and stretching, guess what I get to do? I get to work and stretch as well, and I benefit from that. And then, strength. They have found that strength training may be the most important of all the exercises we do, especially as we age. So a lot of the elderly people think they cannot do strength training anymore. Not true. It's more important, in fact, as you get 50 and above, to do strength exercises. It helps with all kinds of that, especially if you have any tendency towards osteoporosis and those kind of problems, arthritis, all of it. When I first came into this field, they used to say, well, if a person has arthritis, you're not supposed to exercise them, especially if they're having a flare up. You know what they say now? Get them moving and get them doing strength exercises right now, because it helps. When I came in also, and this was in the late 80s when I started doing therapy, we used to have a person that, let's say they had a hip replacement or a knee replacement. We would leave them in the hospital bed for 3 to 5 days before we even went in to do anything with them. You know how long it takes now? Like you just got out of surgery, your head's clear enough, let's start walking. Yeah, and we found that makes the person heal way quicker than letting them lay there for 3 to 5 days before we do anything. And so that's just some of the ways things, and strength. So strength training, number one. If you're not doing strength training, you're harming yourself. And it doesn't have to be heavy. That's the thing. It doesn't have to be heavy. It can be just little rubber bands. It doesn't matter. As long as it could be little weights, but you're doing stuff. Okay, you're doing some strength. See how many I clicked there. And then, of course, endurance kind of stuff, so that it's good for your muscles to do endurance training so that you can go long periods of time. To me, that's the least important, but still important. And I'll tell you why I think it's the least important is because our activities in life typically aren't long in duration. All right? In other words, marathon runners go and run 30 miles. That's not a typical day for us, right? If we do something strenuous, we might do it even if I'm digging a post hole, right? I might do it for 30 seconds to a minute, and then I'm stopping and resting. Right? I take my time. And so endurance isn't as important of a thing. In fact, our bodies were created for short bursts of energy, not long bursts of energy. So I tell everybody, even youngsters, I said, don't go run long distance. You're only going to wear your body out. You're only going to destroy it because your body was not created for that. Same with football, right? I played football for 12 years. My body was not created to play football for 12 years. It's not created for those collisions. It wasn't made for that, and so I have problems because of that. Yeah, and it really doesn't matter. Same with basketball, which isn't as violent, right? But how many basketball players, as they get older, have you ever seen them try to walk? Their knees are wore out. They're wasted because we weren't made for running and jumping, running and jumping, running and jumping. We might run and jump and then not do it again for who knows how long, right? We were made for short bursts of energy. That's what God created us for. There's a tiger. I'm running, right? And until I find it wouldn't be any good to do a tree with them, but until I find a rock to throw or something. But we were made for just short bursts of energy. And and if you look at your things that you do in your life, that's what it is. All right, if I'm at home, I'm doing the laundry. I spend 2 minutes, and then I turn the thing on, right? And then I'll go do something else that doesn't take that long, because that's just how activity is. And so when you're exercising, to mimic life's activities, I think, is more important. So that's why strength training, you're doing 20 or 30 reps of something, and then you're resting, right? And so it's real important. So with flexibility, stretching, and yoga are two really good ways to stay flexible. And flexibility is important, but it's not as important as strength training. But you need to stay as loose as you can. It just helps. Okay, it just makes you feel better. So I have a lot of my patients stretch. Because it just makes their muscles feel better, and it's a way to get blood flowing into the muscle and the tendons and the tissue there. So, and yoga is a good way to do that too. And the best thing about yoga isn't so much about how it increases your flexibility, but it teaches you to breathe properly. Okay? And most of us do not breathe properly. Did you know that? Yeah. And so I've been to I don't know how many seminars about how to breathe. Right? So, because it's important in exercise that we breathe properly, and we want to breathe properly so that we get the most amount of oxygen we can get to our tissues. And I would teach you to breathe properly, but that comes in our next thing because it has to do with stress, right? And how to keep stress down and breathing. But I can tell you this: your lungs are supposed to work like a bellow. So they shouldn't heave up. They should go out, right? Out and in, out and in. They don't go up and down, up and down. So yeah. And it should expand your lungs this way. And so when you're breathing, you should feel your lungs go sideways this way. Your belly really shouldn't go up. You know, some people, their bellies will go up and down, up and down. That's improper breathing. Okay? And again, 25 years ago, that's how we taught people to breathe, by the way, because that was right. Now we found out, no, that's not right. It's in and out, like an old, I don't know what those blacksmiths use. Yeah, like yeah, one of the, I don't know what they're called, but that's how your lungs should work. So when you're breathing, if you want to breathe, which is real important because it just increases your oxygen. Anything that increases your oxygen is going to increase your health to your tissues. It's a good thing to do. Okay, Strength. So under strength, we have, I can't even read that. Can you guys read that? Maybe I'll look this way. Resistance and stability, yeah. So resistive exercise we kind of already talked about. There are all kinds of ways to do it. I have a list here for you of what I think will work and is all that you really need. But and then stability exercise. So we need to be able to stabilize. That's why, have you heard of planks? Those kind of exercises. Isometric exercises. That's where you're just trying to stabilize your shoulder or your leg, right? So you're just working those stability muscles. So, and stability muscles, like when I stand up like I'm standing up now, I need muscle stabilizer muscles to work. Okay, they're slow twitch. They last a long time. That's why I can stand a long time. But if I go to run, I can't run very far because I'm using fast twitch versus slow twitch. I don't want to get into that because it gets into a lot of technical stuff. But you need the core stabilizer muscles are very important. So working your core is extremely important. Planks are a good way to do that. And that's just kind of getting in a push-up position, just holding it. Not even doing a push-up, but just holding it, or you can even get on your elbows like that and hold it, and that works them. But there's a lot of ways to work your core, and I have a couple of them in there in that list. Okay, and then we have endurance, which is walking and swimming. You know what isn't in there? Running. Yeah. So I tell all my patients from, I don't know, this tall up, don't run. I mean, you can go out and run around the yard and you know that, but don't run long distance. Anything over 100 meters is long distance. All right, you don't need to run because it's not good for you. There's no studies that have shown that people who do long distance running are healthier than people that don't. None. They don't live any longer. They don't live any healthier. There's no studies that show that. All that happens is they destroy their joints. Okay? So I always say stay away from running, go walk. And I would prefer when you go to walk that you don't walk on concrete. Right? Because that's hard on your joints too. We weren't created to walk on concrete, but we sure do, don't we? Has anyone ever gone to the store and just standing around in those stores like Costco or Walmart or Fred Meyer, after you've been standing there a while, or even just walking around, that you start to hurt your back, your legs, and that's because you're on concrete. That's why hiking trails and stuff are so much better, right? It's just way healthier to walk on dirt and sand and the things that God created for us to walk on. And concrete, God did not create for us to walk on. Okay, we did that, and it's really very, very hard on your joints. And then, of course, swimming is like the best exercise for endurance because it's the easiest one on your joints there is. I use, at work, I use some machines that also are non-weight-bearing endurance exercises. Like I have a stepper that a sitting stepper, right? And you've been on that before, Arlene, I know. And so that's a good endurance exercise if I want to get endurance. I don't do a whole lot of endurance exercises because I don't need them. I'm not going to go out and do something where I need to go for 3 hours or 4 hours of doing the same. I'm just not going to. It's just not going to happen. And so and even that I like to do have you guys heard of a high intensity exercises? So it's like you go as hard as you can for 10 to 20 seconds. Hard as you can go. Whatever. So if I'm on that bike, hard as I can go for 10 to 20 seconds. And then I go real slow for about a minute or two. And then I go as hard as I can go. That's high, and that's more like life. That's more like what we do. We go hard and then we stop. We go hard and then we stop. And it's way healthier for you too because that's what you were created to do. To do those kind of things. And so that's what we should be doing. All right, 16 ways exercise can improve your health. It improves your brain power. And we might have all just experienced that because we woke up a little bit from having sat here for 40 minutes when we went out there and just got the blood flowing. It also lowers your blood pressure. That's been studied over and over and over. It helps you to fight off a cold. Why does exercise help you to fight off a cold? Yeah. So because it gets your blood flowing, it increases your immune system. Now, if you over-exercise, like you go and run 10 miles, it's going to make you worse. Because now your body's having to fight what you just did to it, right? But what we found is that people that have a cold or even the flu, if you get up every once in a while and move around, it's going to increase your immune system and decrease the time that you have that. Mm-hmm. Yeah, yeah. Half, right. Yeah. Yeah. Exercise helps manage arthritis. We talked about that. Moving and getting that blood flow. And remember, this is all about increase. This is what increasing your blood flow does, right? It lowers your risk of heart disease. That's a great thing from exercise. It helps cure insomnia. If you're having trouble sleeping, you should, if you exercise during the day, you're going to sleep better typically. Yeah. Yeah. Typically that works, yeah. Because it just kind of wears you out and puts your body in the right metabolic state for when it's bedtime. Yeah. And so it should help with that and fight depression. A lot of psychologists and psychiatrists, one of the things they recommend if you're depressed is to go out and exercise, move, walk, do anything, right? Depressed people are those that are sitting there doing nothing. That's why it's so important, that 15 minutes I talked about. You need to exercise, and it helps you to fight depression. It helps lower the risk of diabetes, okay? Because it makes your body metabolize sugar. Hopefully you can, and we'll talk about this at the end, getting your body to metabolize fat, right? That's kind of where I want to be. I want my body to metabolize fat, and there's an easy way. Well, it's not that easy, but there is a way to do that that doesn't cost a dime. In fact, it saves you money. Yeah. It reverses prediabetes, builds strong bones. Yeah. That is very important in today where we have osteoporosis all over the place nowadays, right? And arthritis will help fight that off. It helps you to lose weight, and most of us need that. Helps you to reduce the risk of cancer. Why would it help you to reduce the risk of cancer? Because your blood is flowing and not sitting there pooling. That's just how important the blood is and how important it is to get that blood flowing. The life is in the blood. Okay, never forget that. That's where it's all out. It helps you to think clearer. Helps relieve chronic knee pain. So there you go. It increases your energy levels, and that's been shown in many, many studies that exercise actually increases. And I found done that myself, where I exercise after work, and I'm like, oh, I'm just so worn out. I'm just so tired. I don't really feel like exercising, but I did it anyway. And then after exercise, I feel great. All that tiredness I had is just gone, and that's always kind of nice. And Yeah, yeah, yeah. It was just wearying, and so it helps to take care of that. And then here's a big one: it slows down the aging process. All right, can you stop the aging process? Well, you know, you can die, right? But no, you can't stop the aging process. We're all going to age. That's part of what happened way back in the garden. When we sinned, then things start to degenerate. We call that the second law of thermodynamics. It's going to go from a state of I can't think of the name to chaos, stability to chaos. That's just what happens over time. Things decay, right? And so, I put in some recommendations from me on exercise. These are easy. They are only going to take you 10 to 20 minutes, other than the walk. But you know, the walk, you don't even have to walk a long time. You just don't have to. And if you can't walk because you have bad knees or bad hips or whatever, you can swim, or you can ride a stationary bike or something like that takes, because both swimming, stationary bikes, they take the pressure off the joints because you're not putting the weight down. So you're not doing those weight-bearing exercises. But that's only if you have bad knees and bad hips and stuff, because otherwise it's good for you to get that weight-bearing. And then push-ups. This, to me, push-ups are the best exercise that you could do. Okay? So, and we can all do push-ups. Did you know that? All of us. Yeah, you can all do push-ups. So, if I was going to do a push-up, now a lot of us can't get down on the ground and get back up, right? But so I'll show you how. But so a regular push-up looks like this, right? Right? So not all of us can do that. Right? So this is a push-up too. Okay? And if that was too easy, then I can lean out more and go like that. But almost all of us, not all of us, but almost all of us can go like that. Right? So that's not so bad. But some of us have trouble getting up and down off the floor. Right? And so you can also do what we call wall push-ups, and they're very beneficial as well, right? And so you can go up to the wall, and if I get this close to the wall, that push-up is really easy. I'm almost doing nothing, right? If I want to make it a little harder, I just put my feet back just a little bit, and then I go like that. Okay, and if that's easy, then I can put my feet back just a little more and go like that. And I can find the place that is good for me. So we can all do push-ups. Every one of you can do push-ups. Best exercise there is, in my opinion, because it works your whole body. Okay? Off the counter, yeah. And that's a great place to do them as well. You can do them right off the counter. So you get a little more weight that way. And for those that can't do them off the counter, you just do them up a little higher on the wall. So, yeah, a great way to do it. Sit-ups. Now, when I say sit-ups, I don't mean a full sit-up, by the way. Full sit-ups are not good for your low back. That's been determined for a long, long time. Right? If you're young and you're under 30, you can do a full sit-up. But it puts too much pressure on the low back. So a crunch would be a better name. So that's where you're down on your back and you just read. You know what a crunch is? Anyone? No? Okay. So when I teach my patients to do core strength and to do sit-ups, it's just like this. So you just reach out and touch. We call it crunches, yeah. Yeah. What's that? Yeah, well, that works too. The cool thing is you can do those right in bed, right? When you're already laying down. Okay? Yeah, right. They make you do full sit-ups. And if for a kid, that's not going to be so bad. But as we get to be in the adult age, because of how much force it puts on your back, actually a lot of people blow out their backs trying to do full sit-ups. Yeah, so, yeah. Toe touches, so that's just, that's just stretching. So it's just, and you don't have to go down to your toe, right? Just go down where you're comfortable going down. Okay? So I don't want to go all the way to my toes sometimes, right? And so just go down where you're comfortable doing, and just do it 10 times. 3 yoga poses of your choice. You want to find a yoga pose? Go to the internet and type in simple yoga pose. You'll get all kinds of them. Pick one that you like. Any of them will work because yoga is all about more about breathing than it is about the exercise. Yeah, they have all kinds of them. I have a whole program of yoga exercises on my computer. No, and it really helps. Again, it'll just help with the blood flow. All right, and then let's see. All right, it wound up being 2, but curls. So that's just this, right? So you can do that. I give TheraBands out, but you can take a can of soup, can of anything, and just do that, okay? And then overhead presses, just so you get a little bit work overhead, because sometimes we do things overhead. So it's important to have those muscles strong as well. And then squats, the next best exercise after push-ups, right? So half squats, so you don't need to go down and do full squats, right? You don't want to go down necessarily and go all the way down. So you could just do like this, right? And if your balance is bad, then you have something here like this. You do it like that. Or if you're worried about falling back, you can do them like this, right, out of your chair. So there are all kinds of ways to do squats. Squats are very, very important as we age especially, because we need those muscles to get it up and down out of chair, right? And so they're very, very, very important. So that's just some exercises that it's in your guys' manual there that I gave you. They're not going to take you very long. I'm telling you, you probably can do the whole thing in 10 minutes or less, easily. And if you did those, once or twice a day, boy, wouldn't that be good? Especially if you got up every 15 minutes when you're sitting there watching TV. Very good thing. Well, I don't know if we can see that. That didn't come out very good. I need a different background on that, but I'll read it for you. It's kind of a funny thing. So it says, and God populated the earth with broccoli and cauliflower and spinach and green and yellow vegetables of all kind, so man and woman would live long and healthy lives. And that's true. He did, right? He populated the world with that. And Satan created McDonald's. Yeah, there you go. And McDonald's brought forth the 99-cent double cheeseburger, and Satan said to man, you want fries with that? Yeah, oversized, right. And man said, supersize them. And man gained pounds. And God created the healthful yogurt, that woman might keep her figure that man found so fair. And Satan froze the yogurt, and he brought forth chocolate, nuts, and brightly colored sprinkle candy to put on the yogurt, and woman gained pounds. And God said, try my crispy, fresh salad. And Satan brought forth creamy dressings, bacon bits, and shredded cheese. And there was ice cream for dessert, and woman gained pounds. And God said, I have sent your heart healthy vegetables and olive oil with which to cook them. And Satan brought forth chicken fried steak from Cracker Barrel, so big it needed its own platter, and man gained pounds, and his bad cholesterol went through the roof. Yeah. And God brought forth running shoes, and man resolved to lose those extra pounds. And then Satan brought forth cable TV. Yeah. And with a remote control, so man would not even have to toil to change the channels between ESPN and ESPN2, and man gained pounds. And God said, you're running up the score, devil. And God brought forth the potato, a vegetable naturally low in fat and brimming with nutrition, and Satan peeled off the healthful skin and sliced the starchy center into chips and deep fat fried them, and he created sour cream dip also. And man clutched his remote control and ate at the potato chips swaddled in cholesterol. And Satan saw and said, "It's good." And man went into cardiac arrest, and God sighed and created quadruple bypass surgeries, and then Satan created HMOs. So, yeah. Anyway, I put that on there because that's to get us started into the next part of the body, which is nutrition. All right? So, how important is nutrition? It is probably the most important for a healthy body. So what we eat is going to be the most important. The best exercise program in the world cannot overcome poor nutrition. Okay, I want you to know that. You can exercise, you cannot overcome poor nutrition. Poor nutrition will make you sick, unhealthy. That's just the way it is, and that's how it works. And nutrition is very, 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 very important. And how we eat is very, 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 very important to the health of our bodies. Because remember, we're ingesting food and we're ingesting drink, and your body has to do something with the food. Your body has to do something with the drink. It has to do something. Everything we put into it, remember, it turns into chemicals, and it has to do something with those chemicals. So nutrition is about food and drink, and we're going to talk about each of those. I'm trying to get this to go back, but let's see. Oop. Wow. I'm so out of place, I don't even know where this is. Look at how many slides I got there today. There it is. All right. Excerpts from the Hippocratic Oath. And this is what they say when the doctors take the Hippocratic Oath, even to this day. I call it the Hippocratic Oath today, by the way. So, one of the things in there says, I will apply dietetic measures for the benefit of the sick. According to my ability and my judgment, I will keep them from harm and injustice. That's part of the Hippocratic Oath that the doctors take. Diet measures in the diet for the benefit of the sick. Because we've known from history that it's the food that you eat that makes you healthy or sick. Okay? And then he goes on down and it says, I will neither give a deadly drug to anybody if asked for it, nor will I make a suggestion to this effect. In other words, what that's saying is the first line of defense before you start handing people medications is to tell them to change their diet and to start eating properly. Okay, but we're in America. I don't want to do that. It's too hard. It's too expensive. It's too this. It's too that. We make up excuses for not eating properly. Okay? And then the next one says, I will not use the knife. Surgery, right? Not even on sufferers from stone, but will withdraw in favor of such men as are engaged in this work. So that just means I'm going to send them to a specialist, right? And that they're not going to, that, and again, this is your, in my opinion, from what I've seen over my years of this, surgery is a last resort move, right? Because, I mean, but I understand people need surgery. I agree with that. I don't disagree with that. But it's a last resort move. If nothing else worked, then yeah, then surgery. But surgery is not going to make anything new, right? If you have a shoulder and you get your rotator cuff repaired, it's not like it was when you were 30. It's not new. It's a, you can use it still and you can function with it, but it's not what it was originally because it had surgery. All right? And so when your body repairs itself, it uses tissue, we call it scar tissue, that isn't what's in there. It's different. And so it's not the same. Did your pain go away? Yeah, probably. Are you using it? Yeah, probably. But it's still not the same, and certain things are going to cause trouble. And in fact, you hear a lot of people say, I'm a weather barometer now. They can do all this stuff, but they know when the weather's changing because it aches. It's not normal for our joints to ache. Do our joints normally ache with the weather change? No. No, that's not normal. If they do that, so there's something wrong, right? Or so, we've had something that's happened. So this is a quote. You guys remember Jack Lalanne? Yeah, most of us will. The younger guys won't, probably. But he was a real health guy. And he lived to be 96 or 97 years old. And this was what his philosophy of life was. If man made it, I don't eat it. I want you to think about that. If man made it, I don't eat it, because man has made a lot of changes to our food. God created food for us, right? Yeah, and we're going to spend a long time on this food section because nutrition is so important. Now, exercise is important too, but like I said, you cannot overcome bad nutrition with all the exercise in the world. Nutrition is that important. And so we want to go all the way back to the beginning when God created us, right? In Genesis 1:29. And this is what he said to mankind. He said, "Behold, I have given you every plant-bearing seed which is on the face of all the earth, and every tree which has seed in its fruit. To you it will be for food." Okay? So, what's in this? What did God originally give mankind to eat? But what do we call those? Fruit and vegetables. With seeds in them. That's right. They had to have seeds. I suppose, I don't know what fruits or vegetables don't have seeds, but I'm sure they're out there. But I was trying to think. I thought, well, cucumbers, no, they have seeds. Carrots, maybe. I don't know if carrots have seeds. Yeah, so anyway, pretty much this is fruits and vegetables. That's what he gave us to eat originally. Did you know that you really can get all that you need nutrition-wise from fruits and vegetables? However, we live in America. And that just does not go over big here. It doesn't go over big with me, I can tell you that. And I am not a vegetarian and or a vegan. I am not. Would I benefit from that? Probably. Because that's what God created for us to eat. Now, he's going to change this in a bit. But that doesn't mean it's healthy for us. Okay? He also said in Genesis 2:9 and 16, I want you to see how often he told us this. He said, "Out of the ground the Lord made the Lord God to grow every tree that is pleasant to the sight and" what? "Good for food. The tree of life was also in the midst of the garden, the tree of knowledge of good and evil." And that word "good" in the Hebrew means it's beneficial. So he made every tree that is pleasant to sight and is beneficial for us, for food. Okay? Talk on it. I'll get back to it. Let's see. not there yet. There we go. Of every tree of the garden you may freely eat, but the tree of the knowledge of good and evil you will not eat, for in the day you eat it you will surely die. And that didn't have to do with the fruit of the tree. It had to do with the obedience. So of every tree you may freely eat. Okay, and so that's very important. In 3:18 and 19 he said, thorns and thistles it will bring forth to you. You will eat the plants of the field. See that? You will eat what? The plants of the field. In the sweat of your face you will eat bread till you return to the ground, for out of it you were taken, and for dust you are, and to dust you will return. So originally, we were told, even after the fall, that we are to eat plants. That's what we're told to eat. Plants. And plants include things that you make bread with. Okay? And that's what God gave us to eat. And boy, if we would stick to that, it's really a pretty good diet. And a lot of people say, oh, you can't get enough protein, or you can't get, yes, you can. There's a lot of proteins. And then fat, too. We need to get fat from, you can get fat from plants. What's an avocado? Is that a plant? Yeah. And does it have good fat for us? Yeah, that has great fats. How about the olives? Is that a plant? Is olive oil a fat? Yeah, and it's a good, healthy fat, right? We know that today. Avocado oil, olive oil, those are all really good oils, really healthy oils for us. And so you can get your fats from plants. Now, again, I'm not saying that we need to live vegetarian or vegan or whatever. I'm not. I'm just saying it's healthy. And it takes away a lot of problems. One of the things it really helps with is diabetes and prediabetes. It can wind up being almost non-existent. Well, it would be non-existent if we follow these guidelines that God gave us. And a couple I put in there. So, but we could really do away with it. Okay? In Daniel, I don't know if you remember, in Daniel,
all they got was black bread and water.
Yeah. So in Daniel was taking rivers, right? And he was going to train to be a wise man for the king of Babylon. And they had a special program on that of feeding for those who were going to do that. And in that program was some stuff that if you were Jewish, it was an abomination and you weren't allowed to eat it. And so Daniel went to the head guy there and he said, listen, give us vegetables to eat and water to drink. And then in like 30 days or 10 days, then check and see if we're not just as healthy or healthier than the other guys, right? And so at the end of 10 days, their countenances appeared better and fatter in flesh than all the young men who ate the portion of the king's food. So they did better with vegetables and water than the guys who had all the other stuff. And the point being that we can get all that we need from plants if we know how to do it and what we're doing, right? Well, that was pre-flood. That's what God told us to eat, pre-flood. I would say that that would be good for us to eat even after the flood. However, after the flood, this is what God said to Noah. He said, every, what? Moving thing that lives will be food for you. You can eat not a bat, but yeah. Every moving thing can be food. Literally, if it has life in it, it can be food. That doesn't mean it should be, as we're going to find out, because God sets some limits on some of those moving things. Because he wanted his people to eat what's good for you, not what's not good for you. But nevertheless, it can be food. You can eat a cockroach, and it's going to give you some kind of sustenance. It's gross and yucky, and who knows what else you're going to get with it. But but you could do it. And he said, even as the green plants. Remember, before the flood, they had plants. That's all they had. And he says, even as I've given you all things, but flesh with its life, which is its blood, which we've talked about already, because the life of the flesh is in the blood, he said, you will not eat it. And he's not talking to the Jewish nation here, guys. He's talking to all of us, all mankind. There was no Jewish nation at this point. Okay? So every living thing that moves will be food for you, even as the green plants I'm giving you. So, and that was post-flood. Now, what happened to the lifespans after the flood? Do you remember? They started to drop like a rock. Well, what was it that changed so much? Well, the atmosphere could have been, probably did. But the diet definitely did, we know. Because God said before, I gave you every green plant. Now, you can eat anything that moves. Well, not anything that moves is necessarily super good for you. Green plants are. Although many of us, including myself, have green plants that give my tummy not a fun go. In fact, I have found that raw plants really bother me. But if I cook them so that I break down some of that cellulose and some of that fiber, I do much better. And they don't bother me nearly as bad. But anyway, that's a whole different story. But so food. I'm trying to decide if we need to take a break again. What do you guys think? You want to take another 5-minute break? You ready to go still? Yeah? Yes? No? Dan says, yeah, no. Okay, let's take a 5-minute break. Yeah. Well, yeah, you can go get some water or